Hey everybody, it's Mr. Carr again. Today we'll be talking about 12-8 day one. We're going to be focusing on what's called the translations of our sine and cosine. Previously, with our sine and cosine graphs, we talked about how we affect the period, and then so we talked about how to affect the period as well as the amplitude. So additionally, a we can take our sine or cosine trig function and shift it up or down. Okay. There's this extra part here which does a horizontal shift, but we're not going to cover that with this one. We're just going to focus on the value on the outside there. Okay. All that does is just like with our k values in the past, whether it was exponential functions or quadratic functions, that k value is telling you how far up or down it's going to shift. So for these two examples here, if I look at y equals sine of theta plus 4, we see a vertical shift 4 up. Yeah, that's sort of what's happening here in this case, but if we count by twos, I guess. So if we're going 2, 4, 6, something like that, it's going up by fours. Okay. So it goes up a total of 4 when it shifts up. It's just going to be an exact copy of itself, just going up or down. Okay. Same thing down here. Oh, well, it's tangent, but we're going to focus not so much on tangent, but sine and cosine for just our vertical shifts. Okay. When we do that, that k value creates kind of like a midline. So that's what our focus is going to be on, something like this. State the amplitude, period, and vertical shift for the function, then graph the function here. Okay, so here's where things change a little bit from before. We're going to still do the same kinds of ideas, but what we did, like amplitude, that's going to equal to 3 in this case because a is 3. My period is going to be 2 pi divided by the b value, which in this case will be 2 pi over 3. Okay, we can do our same ideas before where we take our 2 pi over 3 divided by 4 to get how much for each of my tick marks. So that's going to be the same as 2 pi over 3 times 1/4. Divided by 2 is 1, divided by 2 is 2. So each tick mark is going to be at pi over 6. All of my important pieces are still going to be that way. But here's where things are a little bit different. Now, for graphing purposes, technically I could just still do the same thing I did before. Go ahead and, since I'm dealing with cosine, I'm going to start it up top. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 tick marks. And every tick mark is going to be pi over 6. So we got pi over 6. We got 2 pi over 6, which is the same as pi over 3. And then we've got 3 pi over 6, which is pi over 2. And then 4 pi over 6, which is 2 pi over 3. Okay. So we're going to have, make this the low end here and the high end here. So we go cross here, low point, cross here, high point. Okay, so that's my rough sketch of my cosine function. But the +2 changes things a bit. Normally, it would be going with the amplitude of 3, it would go up 3 and down 3. But my midline here is a +2. So right here is the point. So I don't know if I'm going to make it a point, but we can say this is the point 0.02 to start, like in that spot. So that point is 0.2, which means I go up 3 from that. So I'm actually starting going up to a 5 up here. I go down 3, it's going to be a -1. So that's what my scale is going to look like here. So that's where things are changing thanks to that vertical shift up. Okay. Again, normally it would start at 0.3. So technically speaking, when we kind of estimate this here, it would have started about right here, let's say. And it would have done the same graph like that. Okay. And then normally my midline here would be at 0. So this would be like the 0.00. So what's happening is the whole thing is going up 2. So we can kind of see it, all these points. They're moving up 2 from their normal spot. Okay. Graphing wise, it's just still the same, but the important part is recognizing that these numbers are going to be different. And so as well as this number in the middle is going to be different based on my vertical shift. Okay. So let's do a couple more. Okay. State the amplitude, vertical shift, and equation of the midline. Okay. So I represent it as kind of a point on there, but this right here is that midline. So we can kind of call it an equation. So like if I go back to this one, instead of calling this 0.02, this line is y equals 2. It's a horizontal line. So that's my midline equation there. So I can use that for this graph as well. Okay, so I'm still doing cosine. Got my amplitude, which is going to be 1/2. My period is actually just going to stay 2 pi because we don't have any b value here. And then my midline will be the equation y equals 3. Okay, so let's graph that right there. Take my 2 pi divided by 4 pieces, so that comes out to pi over 2. So we'll start up here. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. So my cosine is going to cross, low point, cross, high point again. Okay, but again, because of that shifting, this is actually going to be at 3. With my amplitude of 1/2, this is going to be 3.5, and my low point here is going to be 2.5. Okay, so my midline is going to be a horizontal line. That's the line that my period function is going to go up and down in comparison to. Okay, we'll do 2 more. Yeah, we'll do 2 more. Got a sine and a cosine function still. Okay, so same thing as before. State the amplitude, period, and vertical shift for this function. Okay, so amplitude is going to be 3, thanks to that number in front. Okay, my period is going to be 2 pi divided by the b value, which is 2 in this case. So it's just going to equal to pi. For all of my pieces, my tick marks, I'm going to take pi divided by 4. That's just pi over 4, that's it. And then my vertical shift is going up 4. So my vertical shift up 4. Okay, so again, start graphing that. 1, 2, 3, 4 tick marks on there. We're starting this at starting at 0, 0 normally. So then this will be pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, which is just pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, and then pi for my complete period here. Go high point, and low point. So we're going to start at 0, 0, high point, cross again, low point, cross there. So here's my normal sine function. But again, make sure you understand the midline is going to be 4 here. Thanks to the amplitude of 3, it's going to go up 3. So that's a positive 7. Down 3 is a positive 1. Okay, so my scale is changing. Okay. One more cosine. So we got state the amplitude, period, and vertical shift here. So amplitude is 2, thanks to that one. Period is going to be 2 pi over 3. If I take that 2 pi over 3 and divide that by 4, just like earlier, that comes out to pi over 6. Those are all my tick marks. And I have a vertical shift down 2. So we got a -2 in this case. Okay, so what that means, we got everything we need for the graph. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So our normal starting point for our cosine will be up here. Each of these tick marks will be pi over 6. So pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6. That's going to be pi over 2. And then 4 pi over 6, which is 2 pi over 3. Okay. So we got crossing here, minimum, crossing again, and then maximum up there. Okay. Don't forget midline in this case is a -2. So if we go with a positive 2 for the amplitude there, going to go up 2 to 0, down 2 to a -4. Okay. So again, normally the graph would be somewhere up here and we do something like this. Okay. But now it's moving down 2 thanks to the -2 vertical shift. Okay. And that is it for today. So we're just talking about our vertical shifts, how that changes basically our scale on here, but everything else is still the same as what we've done already. All right. That's it for today. Take care, everyone.